Hello and welcome to the second installment of On the Fly with Les July, and today I'm kicking it with Slash. How you doing, Slash?
That's me. Okay.
Yeah, you like that? The kind of vibe like that. So anyway, so you're here at the Roxy now after checking out the vibe. So I wanted to ask you a little bit about your new project, which is happening tonight.
It's a killer band, and we're playing the Roxy. It's sort of a warm-up thing before we go in and do the downbeat for basic tracks for the record.
You don't have to sing tonight, though, do you?
My regular cigarettes are great.
Well, what do you smoke?
Chatons, man.
Oh, I hate you.
And those are good French tobacco. Marlboros are terrible. But I didn't have a pack of cigarettes all day, so.
But you know what that is? It's just one of the hazards of rock and roll.
It's not even a hazard of rock and roll. It's just a day-to-day fucking problem.
With the exception these days of yourself, Aerosmith, and maybe Metallica, whatever happened to rock and roll?
It goes, well, you know, that's like the missing link question.
You know?
It happens from time to time where, like, everything has got a great.
I'm gonna close this door. 1 second here. Okay, now we can.
I was actually gonna do that for you.
Oh, I hear you. Cool.
No, there's a point there where everything's in sync. Everybody's doing something original. It's all as we put the label on it, rock and roll,
right.
And everybody's doing it together. It's all different, but it's all the same. It's like a legion of people just being creative and fucking doing something that has a vibe, and has a groove, and has a fucking original beat to it, an original vocalist, and right, it all happens for a period. And then it disappears.
Right, because the whole thing, just everything fell off. But I mean,
it goes back and forth. You know, it's like, as far as I know.
But my point about the question is that the fact that you, even though things have gone back and forth, no matter what, you as
what
yourself.
What the fuck else am I gonna do?
Well, hell, man.
I love doing what I do. I fucking wouldn't trade it for anything.
Well, that's good.
You know, I don't give a shit who does what and how many records they sell and who shows up at the Grammys or whatever. I mean, that was never what it was all about. It was about doing what you thought. You know, like where you're coming from.
No, I hate.
You know, there's a lot of people that are so, you know, swayed by trying to pick up on a bandwagon or trying to do something that they think they should do to fucking make the next millennium or whatever. It's like you don't need to think about it that much. All you really need to do is just do what you do.
Right.
And that's the way I've always looked at it. And that might be a little self-absorbed.
No, but I mean, it's cool because, see, that puts the whole, like, music aspect of it. The fact that you're a guitar player, you love to play the guitar, and you're always out there just doing that. But I mean, you know, obviously it was a time when it just seemed like guitar, I mean, you know, everybody's getting into computers, everybody, you know, stylistically things are changing, and a lot of people, you know, so.
Well, you know what, realistically though, I'm a pain in a lot of people's asses when it comes to working, because I'll come into a studio, which is like one of those big SSL boards,
right?
Digital SSL things,
right?
And I'm going, okay, well, you guys figure that part out. I'm just gonna play my guitar,
right?
Just put me in the monitors, and then I play my thing. And they go, can we edit this? I'm like, no. You know, what about Pro Tools, this and that and the other? I'm like, you know, I'm like, you know, I don't want to sound like Keith Richards and go, I'm old school,
right?
But I'm definitely not so new school that I fucking can deal with fucking Pro Tools, you know. I don't agree with it. There's nothing organic about that. That's like I don't know, some of the new dildos they got out. It's like, well, I can't get up tonight. Here, I want to use this. But I mean, you know, all things considered, in the modern professional recording situation, I can see how that's convenient. It's expensive, but I can see how it's convenient and all that for whoever who's into it. But those people are the people that really are good at it. Are also the kind of people that you met, like maybe, you know, I only go as far as high school.
Okay.
That got into shit that you just didn't get into. That's their thing, and they've adapted it to commercial music to the point where it's successful. It sounds good when it's finished, and I don't think maybe. Something that I might be working on when it comes out and it's recorded, they realize that was just one raw rip through, you know, as opposed to when they hear something that's recorded and finished by, say, Madonna, they realize how much work went into fucking tying all those fucking laces together to make it sound like that. You know, there's like a total confusion. perception
Yeah.
of what music is when they hear it on record.
That's interesting that you should mention that with the Madonna thing, the Pro Tools, because another guy who was completely old school in terms of his archaic recording, in terms of
Talking about Lenny.
Yeah, exactly. So what, and it's strange. I haven't really, I heard like the single, but I haven't heard enough to go like, oh, okay, was it?
You know
Big
what?
deal.
I have no idea. Like, I worked with Lenny, and been friends with Lenny for a long time. So
Right,
I
right.
worked with him, and it was as raw gets. I mean, that Hoboken studio that he used to work in was like a museum of analog equipment. Anyway, so at some point he decided to make that transition, so that I don't know if it was for commercial reasons.
Because he was heavily against it, and then all of a sudden,
Yeah, all of a sudden, maybe, all of a sudden he got fascinated with it. He built a studio down in the Bahamas. He had a lot going on. You'd have to ask him that.
Yeah.
And I don't have anything against it. I haven't even heard the whole record. I've heard parts of it over at my house.
Right.
And I haven't been able to really sort of adjust to it because for as far as I'm concerned, Lenny is more of a roots kind of guy. So maybe he's just experimenting,
Probably so. Listen, I want to shift gears for a second here, and I'm going to ask you something now. There's been a lot. I remember back in like 89, 90, this was before I moved out here. I was reading an article in Rolling Stone, and this was during the time when you're on tour with the Stones and Living Color, right? And they had a whole thing about some kind of racial slurs that were happening and whatnot. And at the time that was printed, I didn't even think that I knew, but I'd heard that you yourself, you're biracial.
Yeah.
Correct. So in knowing that now and not knowing it at that point, when you were in that situation and that whole thing went down, I mean, were you offended in a way from what happened? I don't know the details, but just for the fact that
I don't want to sound okay. I have no regrets about some of the stuff that Guns N' Roses has done that I might not necessarily have agreed with. And I'm very proud of my fucking black heritage, my English heritage, and everything else in between that I fucking everything I'm exposed to. I dig everything. And so that was on Axl's own inner turmoil. Right. So whatever influence Axl had on, say, the music, the lyrics, and what he had to say in public about whatever racial ideas he might have had in his head were completely spontaneous by him, having to do with something having to do with his background. And I didn't grow up with him. So I've never been able to go, well, where Axl's coming from, because I was always the spokesperson, always talking for everybody, or at least talking on his behalf, because he didn't do a lot of interviews. But when the Living Color thing happened, I didn't know anything about it either. So we're doing the Stones, and Living Color's there, and I have at that particular point in time, I have a major heroin problem, and I'm really not concerned about what Axl's thinking about, because he and I were fighting the whole time. And then I get hit up with this Living Color thing, who, I didn't have any qualms with Living Color about music, race, or any of that shit. I didn't care. And then someone hit me with that, and I was just like, he said what? And it's like, it was sort of embarrassing in a way, humiliating in a way, because I'm like, I'm not one to stand back and fucking take any shit from anybody.
Right.
And I don't expect anybody to take any shit from us. And he said, what? And this is a guy that I'm in a band with. It's almost like a family thing.
Right.
And more things happened along the way. There was a couple other songs that were involved that had racial slurs in them, and I was just like, Axe, don't go there. But I'll stand behind you, I guess.
Right.
Because we've been this far. I'll stand behind you. If that's really, really what you want to say, just don't put that on me.
Well, see, at a point when you're on a big tour and a slur might come out like that, everybody thinks about, oh, was Living Color offended or whatever would happened with that.
Yeah,
but then of course,
they were offended.
But,
that's the part that I didn't know that. That's the part that hurt me, because I'm a little bit sensitive. I'm not out to fuck with anybody. But there was a point there I was like, well, that's not cool. I have no reason to have any fucking animosity with anybody that I don't even know.
Right.
Coming up to me telling me, so what's your deal? I'm like, that's not my deal.
Right.
I didn't have anything to do with that. What
Right.
happened, you know?
Because, you know, like sometimes in the workplace, you know, you might be next to somebody, you don't know what they are, and then you're all hanging out, and somebody makes a comment. It's like, man, you don't know a lot of times who you're dealing with, and it just kind of helps maybe to even care to be a bit sensitive about that. So I was just,
Yeah, well, you know
Yeah.
what? I mean, it happens in a lot of aspects of this business, that not having anything to do with racial stuff at all.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it could be over someone's big mouth at another management company, or it could be somebody from another band that has nothing to do with the ethnic fucking slurs. It has to do with some rude thing somebody said about somebody else's girlfriend who knows somebody's cousin.
Yeah, right.
Your fucking sister fucked, or whatever. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes on. You just goes with the territory. You know, the one thing that I think is important, though, is to maintain your own, like, personal integrity. I don't want to sound so cliched, but your own personal integrity, what you do and don't believe it. And I think I had a lot of problems having to do with guns, having to do with some of Axl's expressive way of talking about how a guy, you know, a purebred white boy from Indiana adjusted to life in the big world. And that was something I never thought I ever had to understand, because I was brought up in a biracial environment. Not even biracial, but, you know, like from one continent to another.
Right.
And I
So you lived in
pretty
different
much, I'd
places
seen
and stuff?
everything,
I
you know. It's like, and I'm used to diversity.
Right.
That's just part of life. You know, so when I did meet Axl and I heard some of his views on things, I just went, well, that's just because you just don't know.
right.
And that's how I always left it. But when it became a record and it sold millions and it offended people who I don't know, who I have no reason to fucking walk down the street and have them look at me like, why would you want to be part of saying something like that? I'm like, I didn't say it. That's his own personal trip.
Right, right.
You know, I got jumped one time in Chicago.
Oh, serious?
Yeah, for that. For not that, not the Rolling Stones and Living Color thing, but it was one of the lyrics. It was a Police and Niggers thing, and I was in a mall in Chicago, and I was smoking a cigarette in a dark corner in the mall. My old lady was out shopping, and these two fucking dudes came up to me, and they cornered me, and they're like, so what the fuck up with the fucking nigger thing? You know, and they were serious, and I was like,
And they didn't know you were half black either, right?
they don't how would you know, you don't really
Right, they don't know-
really
right.
know, because you're sort of, it's a rock and roll thing, so you're sort of like,
That's the
in a
point I was
white-
exactly.
you're in a white situation with black influences, maybe they might see the black influences, but as far as you're concerned, you got long hair and you're wearing jeans and boots, you're white.
Exactly.
And I had that problem all through school.
I see.
I was when the busing was going on, they on my piece of paper, it was like, "Are you?" Well, they just wrote me off as black, or you know. And my mom would go, "What makes him black?" Or the opposite, "What makes him white?" You know. So we were trying to fucking live in one neighborhood and go to all these fucking different schools throughout elementary and so on and so on. And
Was that here in Los Angeles?
Yeah, here in Los Angeles. And my mom gets so pissed. It's like, what makes him any color? He's half white and he's half black. And it used to piss her off. And I would sit there pretty much mute as a little kid, just going, yeah, she's got a point. But these guys came up to me, and I had to sit there fucking shaking. I was scared to death because
Wow.
they were big guys. And I was
So what
like,
happened?
No, I talked my way through it. I was just like, look, you know, for one, you don't even know me. You don't know my shit. You don't know where that song came from.
Right.
And the fact it was recorded, I did what I could to keep it going the way that it went, but Axl really adamantly wanted to fucking express this thing from going from Indiana to LA and getting dropped off at the bus stop and dealing with whoever it was he met on the street, which I guess he wasn't used to in the wheat fields.
Yeah.
Right? And so whatever he had to say, that's what he wanted to say, and that was probably one of Axl's best qualities at the same time, was expressing himself as honestly as he possibly could.
Yeah.
And so I just sort of talked my way through it, and then next thing you know, we went and had a beer. It was cool.
Oh, right on.
I had a good outcome. But initially, what I'm saying is, it was scary because I was like, fuck, it wasn't my fault. You
Right,
not to
exactly. You
mention-
get blamed, right.
Not to mention my mom's side of the family, cousins and stuff. We were just going, so what up with that? And these guys are all from South Central and shit.
Yeah.
It's just like going, look, all right, because one thing you don't want to do is converge because it's cool, or because you want to fucking, you want to be in this crowd.
Right.
And that's never had it. That's why I play with all kinds of people, because I don't care. It's like South American, Japanese, black, white, Indian. I don't care.
Right.
People are people.
You do something with the Catching Fishbone or Blackstreet?
I played. Well, no, I did a thing with Blackstreet.
I've seen a video where like you on one side of the wall and they're on the other.
I did, what's the guy from? I can't remember his name.
Teddy Riley?
The spot. No, Teddy Riley. That's Blackstreet. But there was I can't remember his name. He was the Fishbone dude.
Oh, Norwood, Angelo.
Was it No. What the guy with the dreads? The little dreads.
Oh, okay.
Singer.
Angelo.
Angelo. Okay, I don't know him. I didn't know him.
Oh, I hear you.
And we all did this song together, and that was that.
That was cool, man.
It came out looking cool. And then I went to Europe and did the MTV Awards with Blackstreet. And it was cool because I wore a wife beater shirt, right? And I thought, okay, this is what I'm gonna wear. And they all had these yellow suits on. And I'm out at the front of the stage doing guitar solos and stuff, and they broke out of their yellow suits, and they all had wife beaters on.
Get out!
It was so funny.
That's
I
great.
turned around, I looked, I went, damn! It's like, I didn't plan out that we were all going to be synchronized dressing. But yeah, that was a fun gig.
What do you think was probably like, as far as collaborations go, like the most interesting or strange thing that you've done outside of what you'd call the norm?
Probably Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, I could say a lot of people, like going up and jamming with, let's see, like Michael Jackson probably seems out of the norm, but really that was easy, and
that was
Michael was
cool.
cool and everything was fine. I think Bob Dylan was the most offsetting outside experience.
Really? Why was that?
It's just because the guy, you gotta, ask him. No, and he's a good guy. It was just I'm so used to being so easygoing. He's very tense personality.
I got you. So there's a little. I hear you. Well, that's cool, man. Well, this has been very cool. I know you're about to do your show.
And now I'm gonna go home and take a shower.
He's gonna go take a shower. Hey, listen. Okay, one last question. What do you say? What would you think are probably like the 3 biggest misconceptions about you? Not that you'd give a shit, but just from whatever comes back to you from whatever's out there.
I don't know. I really don't know. There's too much stuff going on, too many things to do to worry about that.
That's good.
I've heard a lot of. From day one, it was always a misconception that everything was to such an extreme that we were, or me per se, was so out of control that you couldn't talk to me, you couldn't deal with me. So on and so forth. And the people I work with know that I'm not like that. It was just an image that I
Right, I
got.
hear you.
And I don't try to put that image on. It's not like a preconceived thing. It's just something that people just went, oh, well, he looks pretty screwy. And they make up their own stories in their own minds.
I hear you. Let them do that. All right, man. Well, thanks for your time.
Oh, that's no problem. This is fun.
We'll do it again sometime. What was that thing that we did? I forget that actual clip that I showed you earlier. Do you remember what that was even from?
Oh, the clip
With Brian?
that you talk about?
Yeah, you know what that was from?
That was from the China Club.
Yeah, at Spice we had done the Stevie Ray Vaughan. That was like the little tribute we had done to him and stuff. That was cool.
I remember it well. I remember it from that point of view.
I know, whatever.
When you kicked the cigarette, that was a good one.
Yeah. Right on. All right, bro.
That's cool though. See, that's why I save all those moments for later when someone else shows me. Because if I had that stacked up in family albums,
Yeah, you'd never
catalogs
see
of
it.
Photos. No, and it'd just be like it wouldn't be exciting.
You know.
You know.
Well, good. Well, I'm glad I can help and make it happen for you.
Oh, fine.
All right.
There you go.
Right on. We're fading now.